Hey there folks, Rel here. Today we'll be looking at a couple of anti-air secondary weapons that were given to the main battle tanks and Sunderers, and that's the Walker and the Ranger. This is going to be a relatively short review of the differences between the two, so that you can make an educated decision on which one will better suit your needs. Before we look at the differences, let's run down the short list of similarities. Both are anti-air weaponry, but can also damage enemy infantry. The turrets have a great range of motion upwards, but they can't look lower than their x-axis, so if you're trying to hit something below you, you'll actually need to be parking your vehicle on an incline. And both are equipable weapons for Sunderers and main battle tanks. But that's pretty much where these similarities end. From the outlook, the biggest difference is that the Walker fires bullets in a normal fashion, while the Ranger is a flak cannon. But there's so much more that divides them, so we're going to take a look at the Walker first.
Visual on an enemy gunship.
The G30 Walker has a 75 round magazine with 1050 ammo in reserve. It fires very quickly and does not seem to have a maximum range. I find it extremely easy to lead airborne targets with this weapon because the projectiles are just so fast, and there is a relatively minor cone of fire that will likely help you more than it harms. The Walker does well as an anti-infantry weapon from medium to longish ranges, if your opponent isn't under the turret's line of sight, that is.
Enemy engineer.
In addition to dealing with enemy infantry, it can also deal with hard armored targets like main battle tanks or Sunderers. And like many other weapons, you'll be subjected to damage resistances based on the angle of attack. The GD40F Ranger, on the other hand, has a 24 round magazine with 264 ammo in reserve, so much lower capacity than the Walker. It fires slowly and has a really awesome, sweet, powerful sounding audio profile. Unlike the Walker though, which needs to hit the target directly, the Ranger's rounds will detonate in the air near the target, also dealing damage in a decent area. So if an engineer is repairing his landed ESF, you may be able to kill them both, but aside from that, the splash damage isn't incredibly useful. Something interesting about the detonations are that the actual explosion will latch onto the closest part of the vehicle's hitbox, so the explosion always seems to emanate from the vehicle itself. You can see here the rounds themselves are passing the target, but the explosions are actually coming from the scythe. Another note about flak is that it will not activate when it's close to allied aircraft, so friendly fire will only take place if your rounds thump the vehicles themselves. And now the downsides. Oh, the downsides. The Ranger is difficult to hit with, at least for me. I can't tell if it's the projectiles just being abnormally slow, or if they just spread too much to be useful at great ranges. I literally can't tell because of how the projectiles disappear after they travel a short distance, but it's probably a combination of both. The normal lines and lead time you'd use for the Skyguard or the Burster Max, they do not apply to this weapon, so you'll have to learn it all over again. It also seems like there is a maximum range that will limit this weapon as well. The Ranger cannot damage hardened armor, so Sunderers, Lightning's main battle tanks won't do anything to them. Infantry, on the other hand, will still take a good deal of damage, but hitting them is more difficult due to the slow firing rate and the sizable spread. Also, the pellets will have to strike the target directly because infantry don't cause flak detonations. The most important downside of this weapon, however, is that it just does not deal a lot of damage. Not per pellet, not per magazine, just really terrible damage. And here's a comparison to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So given the sizable downsides, why oh why would you want to pick out the Ranger over the Walker? Now the main and probably the only redeeming quality is that the Ranger is in fact flak. So I don't have footage of it and I apologize for that, but if you've ever been piloting a Liberator and received a face full of flak, you know that it's extremely disorienting. So the Ranger is effectively a close range deterrent more than something that's meant to kill. If an enemy ESF is harassing your main battle tank, a flak cannon is going to ward them off pretty quickly and probably keep them from putting a volley of rockets in your backside. Aside from that though, the killing power just isn't there. The range isn't there, the rate of fire definitely isn't there, and the magazine size is not there either. Even things like learning curve aren't there. You could probably consider the Ranger to have a more shallow learning curve, as the projectiles don't need to hit the target directly, and at closer ranges that may be true, but at medium to longer ranges you're going to find it more difficult and frustrating to hit targets. So I think I've made it pretty clear, but unless I am missing something, and that can certainly be the case, has been known to happen in the past, the Walker is all in all a better option. But if you have any thoughts or ideas, opinions, or facts that I'm missing and need to know about, just please let me know. If this video has been interesting or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, and tell your friends about the channel. And also, if you have a video of you getting pelted in the face by flak, please feel free to post it as a video response, because I do think that it's a very relevant thing when trying to find the purpose that a Ranger fills. Anywho, thanks very much folks, Rel signing off.